how high-tech, highfalutin, lazy, or foo-foo America gets, we will never stop hunting and fishing. This is the Hunting Quest. Hunting Quest. We take 1 hour of every week and talk about our favorite things in the world, hunting and fishing. You'll get tips and help on the fishing environment locally in the DMV area. Plus, we're going to have fun along the way. This is the Hunting Quest. And now your host, Mike Tippin and Bennett Malin.
Hopefully we have audio this week, Mike. Oh, shoot. Oh, another Wednesday. Mikey, how are you?
I am doing well if I take it off of mute.
That works a little bit better usually if you do that. See, hey, this time it was you that messed it up, not me.
It was me. I'll take that. It is a Wednesday, and it is 17 days away from watching the best football team in the nation start their season off with Western Kentucky.
That's not who Mizzou starts off the season with, but that's fine.
I said the best team in the nation.
Hey, you know, everyone's sick in the head, and that's all right, Mike. We still love you.
Roll Tide, baby.
So, hey, you know, you can say Roll Tide. That's fine. But tonight we're joined by another Missouri boy, Mr. Ryan Reed. Sir, how are you?
I am doing awesome and glad to not just be filled with a bunch of Alabama Roll Tiders tonight. So
yeah, that's right. It's 2-1 tonight, Mike. You're out of luck, bud.
That's all right. We stand on our own. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, man. Well, Ryan, man, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. Appreciate you getting here. You know, I followed you on Instagram, and, you know, you got a really good social media platform. You put out some really cool stuff. I follow you, but for those of you who I don't know why they don't, but for the ones that don't, give them a taste of who you are and what you do.
So I'm all about the kayak fishing world. I kind of deem myself as like a kayak fishing lifestyle guy. You know, I love Instagram. That's really my bread and butter. TikTok's there. Pretty well anywhere you want to find me. It's the real yak dragger. Put dots in between each word there, but I've been doing it for like 5 years now. It's a blast. I like to just get out, test out a bunch of different kayaks, everything from the bare bones inflatables all the way up to the, you know, I just had a Neptune inflatable boat last week that you had a rear mounted motor and a front mounted motor. And, you know, I like to go every part of it and show people what they can do.
Dude, that's freaking cool. First, well, my wife and I kind of got into kayak fishing. It was kind of like our COVID thing. And we needed to get out the house and do stuff. And, you know, so we didn't kill each other. And so we kind of picked up the kayak fishing aspect. You know, my wife, I mean, she'd rather fish than do anything else. And, you know, I'm kind of right there along with her. So I found it to be absolutely amazing. It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. And as far as a lifestyle goes, you couldn't be more right about that for sure. That's truly a lifestyle.
I mean, and you talk about people getting into it during the COVID years, and that was really the big boom, especially because, you know, people started getting all this money that, you know, they may or may not have been able to use on their own stuff, and the premium kayaks exploded. Everybody was buying motors and going out and fishing, and it really blew up the kayak fishing world. And now we're kind of seeing a recession of that. There's definitely a drawback, but we're still above what it was back then. So that's a great thing to see the sport still growing.
It is. It's so all right. So you talk about it as a lifestyle. How did you get into this? What was the deciding, you know, the capstone here that said, hey, look, I got to get into this. I got to get in this boat and paddle up, you know, some water and try to catch a fish.
So, you know, like most any other country boy, you know, I grew up kind of fishing with my dad, my brother, and grandpa, and that was great. And then I was in the Air Force for 6 years, back in my early 20s.
I knew I liked this guy.
Damn it! I am 0 for 2 tonight.
Yeah, that's you're doing bad tonight, Mike.
But
I'm a Navy guy, and Benny's active duty Air Force. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it was a
Anyway,
great time. So I got out in 2016. Just decided that the military lifestyle wasn't what I wanted, so I got out in 16, and I moved home. And for the summer, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And my brother was like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I got this little like yellow sit inside lifetime kayak. If you want to just like take it out fishing." Okay, I don't got anything better to do, so I started messing around with that. And man, I tell you, the rush of catching an Ozark smallmouth and a little bitty kayak, like a little 2-pounder, just drags you all over the river.
Yep.
So, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what have I been missing out on my whole life? And there hasn't been a time that I haven't wanted to fish in a kayak ever since that first outing. It's just like it changes your life to fight a good fish in a kayak that a regular boat just can't give you that feeling.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to convince Benny to, when we go alligator hunting, to try it in a kayak, see what he
Yeah,
does.
see, I don't smallmouth largies. That's one thing. I don't know about a damn alligator.
I think, honestly, that's one of the most common things that I get, like people commenting about when they see all these kayaks I use, whether inflatables or my flip cat, and they're like, "Well, that's gator bait when you go down south." And I'm like, "I've been down south. I've played with the gators. They're not gonna mess with you unless you're literally over there trying to like hit them on the head.
Yeah.
That's
They
fair.
don't want to mess with you. Like, don't mess with them during spawning season, breeding season, sure, but 99% of the time they don't want to bother you. You don't want to bother them, and everybody can just live in peace. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I'll agree.
I've
with
had
you.
some close encounters with some gators, and don't get me wrong, it gets your heart pumping.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, I'm just gonna back away. Like, he's cool, I'm cool, everybody's happy. So
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. So obviously you get into this, you've got a lot of years under your belt doing the kayak fishing. What's like, if I'm brand new to kayaks, right? And I think we've kind of covered this before on earlier podcasts and some other, write-ups that I've done, but obviously there's different kayaks for different uses. You've got, whitewater kayaks, and you've got all these other things, and they make specific kayaks for fishing and things like that. So, and not trying to explain this to you, this is just for people who are listening, that maybe they're interested in getting into these kayak thing, get into this, kayak lifestyle. What's your avenue? What's your go-to? How do you kind of say, hey, look, this is where you should start, and these are, if you're looking to do this type thing?
So the hard thing to get people to understand when they're trying to get into kayak fishing is not to go too cheap. Everybody says, "Well, I want to get in to any hobby," and they always want to go by the cheapest way they can get into it. And realistically, let's just say if you're going to go as cheap as you can, you're going to go to Walmart, or you're going to go to one of those other box chains that sell these Sun Dolphins, these cheap Pelican kayaks that have these junky seats, and you tip over really easy in them. You're uncomfortable in them, and you're going to go out and you're just going to have a miserable outing, and you're not going to want to spend all day fishing in it like you can in a halfway decent boat. So I always tell everybody, like, just spend that extra, like, $800, maybe $500, $800, and just get that medium tier. You don't have to go all the way and go buy an Old Town autopilot to try out kayak fishing.
Yeah.
They're
They're
those
nice.
are expensive boats. They retail like $400-$500, I think, right now, something like that.
Yeah, they're up there.
And they're great. They are, but that's not for the guy that's trying to try it out. The best way to do it is to find a dealer, within a couple hours of you. And if you have one closer, then even more reason, but go in and actually try them out and tell them exactly what they're looking for. Most every dealer has numerous kayak brands that they're going to take out. They can say, okay, we can try out 4 kayaks today, and they'll take you down to the water and you can hop out on a bunch of demos, and doing that is going to save you, it's going to save you a lot of time because you're going to experience a lot at once, but it's going to save you money in the long haul. If you buy a cheap kayak, today, I guess they're probably around like 400, $500 for a cheap kayak. I don't really know anymore.
Right.
And then 6 months later, you're like, well, I'm ready to upgrade. Well, now that $500 kayak's worth like 200.
Right.
So you just lost 60% of your money that you could have just put towards that medium-sized kayak that you're going to go spend the money on now, and just go out and buy the medium tier right away.
Sure.
I really can't think of a reason where buying the lowest possible kayak is ever a good deal anymore. It's just they're not good. They're not quality. They tip over too easy. There's just too many risks in there that it's not worth it.
Yeah, I say me and my cousin, when I was in high school, we got the bright idea that we were going to buy kayaks and go fish a bunch of ponds and stuff around the house. And like you said, we went to Walmart, and I think I bought a Pelican, like 10-foot Pelican, like sit-in kayak for, it was like $250, I think. I have flipped that damn kayak so many times. It's miserable. Like you said, I mean, we took it out. I think we went and fished 4 or 5 times, and we're like, screw this, we'll just walk the bank. Like, I'm not dragging this damn thing to slide down the hill, jump in the water, and then roll it 15 minutes into fishing, and then be wet, and all of my stuff's full of water and, whatever else.
And then you got to worry. Then you start worrying about your gear. It's like you don't want to have nice gear with you because you worry about your stuff getting broken or lost in the water. It's just it's a snowball effect, man.
For sure.
It really is.
Absolutely. We just got a question from someone watching. Do you have a recommendation for a good kayak that won't break the bank?
Breaking the bank is such a relative term to every single person. It's hard to put one on it. So any paddle kayak, really, in my opinion, isn't going to break the bank. I don't care if you're buying an Old Town, New Canoe, Jackson. They're all going to be in that, let's just say, $1,300 range, $1,300 to $1,500 range. And you never have to worry about tipping them. You never have to worry about, is it going to break? Are they going to be too heavy? You're going to get a great kayak right there off the bat. I lean to always say Old Town is one of the best because really they are. The quality that you get in an Old Town is just above everything else. I don't care, like the customer service, the warranty on it. They just take care of all their customers. So it's hard for me to say don't go to them. But then they also don't have any issues. You look at, I don't want to bash any brands, but there are certain brands out there that have so many warranties. Like, they're great boats, but they break so often. And sure, they're going to replace it for you, but you're going to be a month without a boat, 2 months without a boat because it broke and you're waiting on a warranty. Whereas I've had Old Towns that I literally beat up for 5 years. I drug it down concrete ramps. I drug it down riverbanks. I dropped it. I actually dropped it off the front of my truck in my driveway, and it didn't even hurt it. I threw it back in the bed of the truck, and we kept going. And, Old Town just makes great boats. So it's hard for me to say don't buy a paddle kayak from Old Town if that's what you're looking for, is the cheap end. But then you can get a pedal drive kayak for I think they're like $2,300 retail right now. And pedaling is honestly the way to go. You don't see many people opting straight up to paddle right now. Pedal drive kayaks are great.
I opt to paddle, and for completely selfish reasons. But
I'm loving it. I've been fishing out of I just bought a Wilderness Systems iAttack. So they're inflatable kayaks.
Yeah, I've seen those. They look awesome.
And it is amazing. It's so lightweight. It tracks really well, and it paddles really well.
All right, so
I've been taking it out on the rivers.
So tell people what you mean by tracking. A lot of folks here don't understand what tracking means by.
Yeah. So
what do you mean by tracking?
So a tracking is whenever a kayak goes straight without you having to guide it. So you paddle and you have the kayak going straight, and it's not going to drift off left or right. Some kayaks pull left, some kayaks pull right. Well, not all kayaks, but a lot of kayaks do. And the Wilderness Systems iAttack, it tracks, it stays straight really well, to where if you start paddling, especially if you're on a river and you set your paddle down because now you want to make a cast, well, now your nose isn't going to go off and away from where you're trying to fish. So
Right.
it just makes you more efficient on the water.
Yeah. So the opposite of that, I try to tell folks, if you're going to get into whitewater rafting, those boats don't track. Those boats are meant to
Sure,
turn.
Yeah, fast, very
Yeah,
fast. Yeah.
really fast. So completely opposite of what you want from fishing. So
Yeah.
understand what your use is going to be for, for if you're going to use it for fishing versus, whatever else that you might. And also, what are you going on? Like, yeah, I love New Canoe. I love Old Town. I love a lot of different types out there, but
Yeah.
you've got to look at, which one really kind of fits how you're going to use it too,
Yeah.
um,
And that's one of the hardest questions to answer for people.
It is.
Because everybody says, what should I get? Well, just like you said, New Canoe and Old Town, let's talk about those two specifically right off the top. So as much as I love Old Towns, they don't make a good riverboat. Like, it's just plain and simple. The pedal drive, as good as it is, you get in shallow waters, now you got to kick up the drive. Now you have a big hole right there where you're middle of your kayak, where anything can fall, including the fish that you just tried to catch. And so you can lose fish that way. You can lose gear that way. It's not ideal. I said I did it for years. So you can do it, but it's not the most efficient. Whereas New Canoe, you don't have that. But they don't have a really good pedal drive system either. They have a pivot drive, but that's definitely not the best drive that's on the market. But it's a solid platform. They paddle extremely well. One of the most stable platforms on the entire market, hands down. And the boat that I actually just picked up today is the New Canoe U10. So it's actually fully out rigged with the it's got the NK180 Pro on it. They have their own motor mount that they designed to go with the New Canoe U10 that fits any of those Torpedoes, Newports, whatever. And then single foot steering, which is going to be interesting. I've never used that before, and it is awesome. I'm so excited to try it out. It's got a pod kit that comes with it. I didn't pick up the pod kit, but I just have the New Canoe and the NK180 Pro to test out. And that one's probably my most excited riverboat that I've even thought about in years, because those aft mounted motors give you way more potential to go up and down rivers, because you have more power, but then they kick up anytime you accidentally hit something shallow, a log, a rock, and you're not tearing stuff up like you would on like my Old Town autopilot. I've hit a lot of rocks and limbs with that thing, but with this New Canoe, I'm really looking forward to trying it out in the rivers and seeing how well I can do.
That's awesome, man. So I kind of mentioned that, my wife and I kind of got into kayaks. When we started off, we're fortunate. We live about 2 hours away from the Shenandoah River. So Shenandoah is an amazing river. It's an amazing smallmouth river. You can catch some slabs there and just amazing fish. So we went.
I've been wanting that one bad,
dude. Hey, we'll help you out. Let us know. We will make it happen, my friend. So we went up. I really wouldn't suggest it anytime this year, though. Don't go this year. We're right in the middle of a drought, and I think it's like at its deepest 2 feet. So don't go to Shenandoah this year. Aim for next year. So my wife and I, we decided, hey, let's, what do we want to do? She'd never stepped foot in a kayak in her life. So we actually went to one of the local river guides, and they said, I told them what I wanted, and they said, the guy's like, oh, I can get you something. So I wanted to sit on top and a sit inside so we could kind of see which one's which, and they hooked us up, and it was kind of more fishing driven, meaning that it had a little spot to hold my pole, and she had a little spot to hold her pole. And I think the sit on top was like an Ascent, one of the Ascent brands. Cheapo, but it's what we could get. And then the sit in was a New Canoe. And it was nice. So we had a good time. We went down the river and we realized all the things that we liked and all the things we didn't like. And Then we started shopping, and our, we actually wound up with, I wanted an Old Town. It was during COVID, so it was super, super hard to get your hands on anything. So we actually had and Old Towns, to speak to how good Old Towns and new canoes are, in my opinion, is you don't see either one of those on a secondhand market almost ever. If somebody's selling a used one, it's probably because they're in dire need,
Yeah.
So I found I got 2 Jackson Coosa HDs. Solid boat on the river. That is a solid boat. It is a tank if you're in the if you're in a pond or if you're in a lake. That thing is a tank, and you're gonna work for every mile that you get. But for us, they were exactly what we needed. They're heavy as all get out.
Yeah, they are.
And you, like I said, you work for those. But again, that's where the benefit, like you mentioned, hey, go somewhere, paddle one of these things, see what you like about it. Spend some time with, your local kayak dealer. They, trust me, they're generally good folks and they love what they do. So, all right. So we talked about how you got into this thing. We talked a little bit about what you would pick up. I gotta ask, man. Here's the $1 million question: is I saw the flip kayak. You tell me about that thing.
So the flip cat. So flip cat.
Flip
that's
cat.
like the
Right,
official
it's
name.
catamaran.
Yeah.
All right.
Flip cat. Yeah. So it's because it's a catamaran. It is. It's produced by a company called Noisy River Outdoors. And if you're up there by Shenandoah, you're not actually that far from them. They're out of High Point, North Carolina.
Okay.
And they launched, I want to say it's probably been close to 2 years ago that kayak hit the market. And at the time, my wife and I and our son, we were traveling. Like I said, my wife's a travel nurse, so we were actually on the road, RV life, all over the country. And we were living in Texas at the time, and I saw their post, and I was like, that is awesome. I would love to try one. Where are you guys out of? So they had said they were from North Carolina, but if I was ever in their area to hit them up and I could try it out. Well, probably 9 months go by and I had forgotten basically all about it. And we ended up living in North Carolina at the end of last year. And in December, I was like, you know what? That company said they're in North Carolina. I wonder where they're at. I look them up, and sure enough, they were 45 minutes from me. Yep. I was like, okay, this is meant to be. I should hit them up. So I hit them up, and we meet up to go do some testing. And, it was everything that I thought it was. It's such a portable kayak. So for people that don't know about it, it is a fully portable catamaran-style kayak. And when I say it's fully portable, what it means is it folds up into a giant suitcase. It can fit in the back of your small SUV. It's not going to fit in the trunk of a car. I hear a lot of people saying, can it fit in the trunk of a car? No, it's not going to fit in the trunk of a car, but a small SUV. If you have a Suburban, you can fit 2 of them inside of a Suburban. So there's that for you. If you have a truck, I think a short bed pickup truck, if you stand them upright, you can fit 6 of them in the bed of a truck.
Dear Lord. Okay.
Yeah. So they compact pretty small, and they all come with a set of wheels, and you can roll them around. You can roll them wherever you want to. Currently, they only sell them with these smaller plastic wheels, kind of like a C-Tug tire. So they're not the best. You're not going to go super off-roading with them, but they do pretty well. And they're really designed for people that live in condo associations by lakes. So people that don't have a lot of storage space, you can fit it in your condo. You can go into an elevator with them, and they roll right through your door as is. And you can store them in your closet. They literally are that small. They go store in your closet. So the compactness of them is what makes them so unique. I get so many people that say, well, how is that better than a traditional kayak? And I'm like, well, it's not about whether or not it's better. It's that it's different. It's designed for a different niche than just the standard kayaker that has a garage or a backyard where they're just going to go throw their crap and let it just sit out there in the rain. You know, that's great. But not everybody lives that way, and they want access to their lake that maybe they live on or a small pond they live on. And this kayak really gives those people that ability to access that water, and they don't have to rent the storage unit that's 20 minutes away, go pick up their kayak, bring it back to their own house to go fishing, you know.
Well, it's
And,
slick.
and it's, yeah, it's super fun. They're still working on some of the aftermarket parts for it. Like you'll be able to tow it behind a bicycle or an e-bike if you want to.
That'd be sick.
That one's going to be probably one of my favorite things to do with it. I've been pushing him pretty hard to get me a prototype, and I'm going to hook it up to an e-bike, and I'm going to tow it like off grid to like the most hard to reach access that somebody can imagine. Where if you wanted to launch a kayak, like either you have to roll it back there on a sea tug or something similar, or you have to launch and then drag up it. So I'm gonna push it pretty far to its boundaries, and that's kind of why they ended up bringing me onto their team to help them with just product testing. I've been pushing this thing as hard as I can to see what breaks.
Dude,
So it's fun.
That's some good
Yeah.
QA right there. I
Yeah.
like that.
I've gone through one pedal drive so far, and we're not even sure if like the pedal drive was going bad or not. It's belt driven, so people that don't know, it's got a pedal drive on it, and it's belt driven. Well, the belt was starting to slip, so they sent me a new one. I got to send them back this old one still, and they're going to look at it and see like what was causing it. You know, maybe it was just malfunction, maybe it was just wearing, because like I said, I've been pushing this thing hard.
Sure.
You know, harder than people will put it through in a 10-year lifespan. I put it through. So, you know, I've taken this thing up rivers, lakes. I dropped it out of my truck twice. So
I get the feeling that you kind of you kind of drop a lot of stuff, man.
I'm pretty rough. Like,
That's awesome.
but like, I don't know. You're gonna beat it up anyway, so
Yep.
why not just like, I don't know. I get too many people that are worried about breaking things, and I'm like, it's plastic. Like, you literally just take a torch to it, and it
Yep.
goes right back together. Like, who cares?
Yep.
I say even in one of the videos I watched on your Instagram channel, the flip cat. I mean, you roll it down to the boat ramp and flip the thing open, and I'm like, how's he gonna get it in the water now? And just down the concrete and into the water. I'm like, well, all right, well that works.
So I get a lot of grief on that video about that. People are like, oh, you're gonna wear it out. So the flip cat actually has skid plates on the bottom.
Okay.
So where you lift it, because you lift it from the front, and they're on the back side, there's skid plates on both tails. So you lift it and you're sliding it on a skid plate.
Gotcha.
So
That makes a lot more sense. It's like, damn, that was rough.
yeah, I mean, I would do it anyways. Like, even if it didn't have skid plates, that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
You know, I do that to every other kayak, so why wouldn't I do it to this one?
Yeah. I was really surprised in that video at how stable that kayak was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you pushed it off in the water and ran and just dove onto one of the sides of it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you stepped basically on the front corner of the one side of the catamaran, and the boat went.
Yep.
I was
Yeah,
like, whoa.
It tips just a little bit.
Yeah, which, I mean,
you can stand
do that on a
the side.
20-foot bass boat, and it's going to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, you can
Yeah, that's-
stand like on the side of it, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that thing's super impressive. I was watching, I was like, dude, this thing's a freaking transformer. This thing's awesome.
So the one thing that I don't get to like press as much about that kayak that needs to get more recognition, I'm just not the guy to do it, but that boat was actually designed with duck hunters in mind also.
Oh no. Oh no.
You talking to the
So-
you talking to the right guy.
So the seat is actually designed to like lay back. You can drop the seat all the way to the floor and then recline it to where you're shooting a shotgun out of it at geese and ducks and whatever. And and obviously it's big enough that you can put your dog up there. And the front handle where you see me, like I put like my tackle box up there, and
Yeah.
mounts up there. That's actually in the works of designing like there's gonna be like a dog step, so you can drop that handle into the water, and then your dog can climb up that.
I like
onto
it.
the kayak.
That's cool as hell.
That is really cool.
So it is designed for so many uses. I'm just not a duck hunter, so I'm not a bird guy, so I can't push that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I could understand that. I get it.
I try to not push things that's not really like my thing. So it's
Right.
like I like to hunt, but I probably post like 3 hunting things on my story throughout the entire year. Like I just don't talk about it. I'm actually looking at a hunting blind right now that I set in my backyard this afternoon. So it's like I love to hunt. I'm just not known for hunting, and I'm not a hunter. I hunt for fun. But
Yeah. So you get into this thing. So I actually had a question from my wife about it. Before I told her who I was bringing, who we were going to get to talk to, and she goes, "Ask him how much it weighs." So, how much does this thing weigh?
I'm curious what your guys' guesses are. If you know it, then
I don't know.
If you had
do.
to guess,
I
just
do
guess.
know, but I don't know. Benny, what do you think it weighs?
65, 70?
I'll play along. I'll say it's 75. I know how much it weighs though.
So 156 pounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not light. And it's probably one of the biggest knocks on it is that it's not light. And I told you I dropped it off my truck, so getting it into your truck can be as difficult or as easy as you want it to be. It does have like little notches in the bottom, so whenever you go to load it in your truck, it will grab your tailgate. But when you're on a boat ramp, as you know, they're usually fairly steep.
Yep.
So you got one good shot of momentum to get 156 pounds going.
Yep.
So me being slightly arrogant sometimes, I'm like, I got this. And I don't got it.
You got it.
And you get off on like it's slightly tilted or it's like too steep of a hill and you don't got it.
You got it.
But they actually came up with a fix for that. And I've had it the whole time. I just choose to not use it sometimes. They actually have like a little rope bungee system that attaches to your truck bed and then attaches to the kayak down the bottom, and you pull it tight, and it's got this real hard rubber band right in the front of it, so that whenever you lift, it will actually start pulling it into your truck bed for you.
Oh, no, that's cool.
Oh,
So
what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not gonna. It won't pull it all the way into your truck bed for you, but it will prevent you from dropping it.
Right. It's going to keep you from getting rolled over. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's fair. I was guessing way too light because as soon as you said that, when you see the size of it once it all unfolds and everything out of the little suitcase, because I mean, it does pack down pretty small, which is why I was thinking it'd be really light. But then it unfolds into pretty big freaking kayak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
So
wide,
150s.
long.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
And then you've got the pedal drive in it is like, I think it's like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And then there's actually a lot of like metal parts. It's got a track system in it. It's got all the hard steel brackets and everything, the hinges. A lot of that stuff has to weigh something because it's supporting so much weight.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme
it adds
of things,
up.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like I told you I have a Coosa HD. That's 78 pounds for one.
Yep.
And I've got to load 2 of those things up, for me and my wife to go fishing. So in the grand scheme of things, comparative to a Coosa HD, it ain't that much different. That's, in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. So,
dude, I want to duck hunt on a one. I want to get one in the marsh and duck hunt out of it, dude. That'd be a blast.
Should have never said anything, right?
I'm getting one.
I mean, like I said, that's like the most under-marketed side of it, and I wish that I could do more for that, but I just can't. And eventually they'll bring somebody on the team that does that. But the duck hunting side of it is so underutilized right now. It'll get there. We're really getting that market awareness right now, the brand awareness. People are starting to recognize it. Like I said, we've moved into 2 dealers this year. It's official. I can actually talk about it. It's been pretty hush hush for the last couple of months, but like 2 weeks ago, we finally hit the stores, so we can actually talk about it now. But Shields is going to be carrying them.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right.
We've got 4 stores with Shields. I think it's like Idaho, Colorado, more of like the northern and the western guys.
Yep.
I don't think Dallas is carrying it yet. That's one of their big stores. I don't think Dallas is carrying it yet, but they're kind of like testing it with 4 of their stores right now. And then Eco Fishing Shop, which anybody that follows me knows I work with Eco Fishing Shop. I've been on their team for I think it's my 4th year. I think it's 4 years with them. They started carrying them. They are in store and online. So anybody that wants to check them out, definitely go to Eco Fishing Shop. They only stocked 4 of them. So I would love to say they're going to go fast, but we're also at the tail end of the season. So let's be realistic and say, they're probably going to be in there for a little bit.
Well, they're at the tail end of the fishing season, but they're not at the tail end of the.
I said we just getting started duck hunting.
So,
Benny,
the harder selling point for the flip cat that I've seen the most pushback on is the price point. It is a premium product. It retails around $5,500 before taxes, and that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, realistically. But people that are looking for premium product that are wanting to fit a very specific niche don't usually mind spending the money for the right product. So it's not really that big of an issue. It just means it's not going to move as fast as those $2,000 products you're going to sell.
Right.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I think that if you're in the hunting or fishing industry, you know, and you're trying to figure out what works best for you. If you're brand new to it, of course, like you mentioned at the get-go, don't go high end. You don't know what you want yet. But
yeah,
I don't think that that's really a ridiculous price point. I mean, considering what the price of a premium kayak goes for, whether it's a wilderness system or, especially, being a cat, that's a lot of boat. That's a lot of kayak. That's people who are looking for those have a reason to look for them. And I think you're right. I don't think it's a bad price point at all, really. Considering everything that you get, and the fact that it's, I would assume that, sounding like from you that they got a pretty quality, customer service basis. And, and if they're at a high point, they got to be some good folks, because nobody bad comes from High Point. So
they are super nice people, and it's small. Like, like I said, they've only been around for a couple of years, so they're still a really small business. Everything is handled in-house. They don't have, outsourced customer service you got to deal with. And when you talk about price points, you talk about, let's talk about the Hobie world or the Old Town world. Those are premium kayaks. You're going to spend that kind of money to buy them. If you buy a Hobie, you're not getting a motor or anything. Like, you're getting a pedal drive just like you do with the Flip Cat.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess that's, however you're going to play it, I think that opens up, like you kind of mentioned as well, not to keep repeating what you're saying, but you mentioned having access to areas that you typically wouldn't be able to get access to. That's huge. Especially like, some of our fishing, some of our launches around here, for example, they're going to charge you $20 whether you're a kayak or whether you're a fishing boat. They're going to charge you $20. But if I can take that thing right next to their, $20 boat ramp, and I get why they're charging, I understand all that. But if they're going to, if I can take it right next to it and put it out there, it's $20 saved. I'll take that. But more importantly, I can go up the stream. I can go, trudge down, some little hiking trail with my, with that flip out, and say, hey, look, here's what we got. I throw it in and let's see what we, see what we can do with it. So,
well, and not even. just too, like up in our area, up here on the Chesapeake Bay, there's a bunch of parks that have kayak access ramps that don't have boat ramps.
Yep.
There's a lot of those up here in Maryland, at least. That are on awesome bodies of water. That there's not an actual, big boat ramp for 45-minute drive. Mm-hmm. But there's, 10 or 15 kayak launch areas. So, play into that too of just being able to get into those spots. Otherwise, you'd have to drive, an extra 40 minutes, put a big boat in, and then come all the way back down the bay and whatever if you wanted to fish any of those coves.
Yeah. And like the multi-purpose is one of those things that a lot of people looking into boats kind of want, whether that be hunters, fishermen, there's a ton of duck hunters. And I say duck hunters. I feel like I don't want to just say duck hunters, whether it be duck hunting, deer hunting, people that want to hunt really hard to access waters that are using boats to either fish from and hunt from, or you see guys that will use their kayaks to access public hunting grounds that is way harder to access by foot. And they'll take their kayaks or maybe their jet boat or whatever, and they'll go up or downstream to these hard to access areas to hunt where these deer or ducks or whatever you're hunting are way less pressured.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So being able to use it for multiple aspects is that's really where it makes spending the money worth it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So we talked about the one thing that I was super, super excited to talk to you about. But the other thing that I really wanted to kind of ask some questions on, again, this is the other part I was really excited to talk to you about. You do a considerable amount of fishing, and I wish I was in your shoes, right? I think I get to fish a lot, but you get to fish a lot. If I'm starting out, as a, kayak, going down that kayak lifestyle, like you mentioned, and doing the kayak fishing aspect, aside from the kayak, we go out, we buy a medium grade kayak, right? What else do people need to start looking at? What's the gotta have list?
Man, people overlook the one thing that I suggest more than anything, and it's so cliche, is having a PFD, a life jacket. People think of it's tacky. I'm not a kid. I can swim. Like, no, don't do it. Just put on a life jacket. They make such good ones these days. You don't need one of those big, bulky orange things wrapped around you. And I don't care what brand you're going with. I rep Blue Storm. I love Blue Storm. I've been fishing with their stuff for a while, and it's comfortable, and that's what you need. You get to a point where you wear it for an hour, you don't even think about it anymore. It's just part of you, and it's not hot. It's not hindering your movements. And then, depending if you want pockets and you want a standard life jacket or you want an inflatable, they make everybody makes great products these days, whether it be an NRS, a Mustang Survival, or like I said, Blue Storm is the company that I rep. I love them. If anybody's looking for PFDs, check out Blue Storm. I run their inflatables 95% of the time, winter and summer. And like I said, you're not hot in it, so it's not like you're not miserable wearing it. I also wear long sleeves, 90% of the time I'm out on the water. So it's putting that PFD on you, keeping yourself safe. It's not about whether or not you can swim. It's about that random thing that can happen, whether that be you fell out of your kayak and you hit a rock and you just knocked yourself out, or, you have some medical emergency, you have a stroke and you fall into the water. That's going to save your life. You can't always say, well, I can swim. Bad things can happen. It doesn't matter if you can swim or not.
Yeah, you can't swim if you're unconscious.
Yeah. Just wear them. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't wear mine every single time. I'm guilty of the same thing. I've gone out on comfortable trips that I've floated 100 times, and it's 1,000,000 degrees, and I'm drinking beers with my buddy, and we're just having a relaxing time. Sure, like I have my PFD, it's right next to me, but sure, I'm guilty of not wearing it 100% of the time. But 99% of the time, it's on my body, physically attached, and it's you just need to have it. Like honestly, and I knock myself about it. You know, I should have been wearing it, but you know, you don't always have to, and you don't always need to, I guess, but you need to. Like that's
We
just
ain't all we ain't all perfect, right? So
yeah.
I,
So
I think that's the point.
no. Anyway, I feel like I went on a pedestal about
Oh no, no,
that.
no. Look, I mean it's
But I do think that it's important. Safety is important.
yep.
You know, for those of us, especially that have families, people count on us, get home safe. That's just the biggest thing at the end of the day is get home to your family, your loved ones, wear your life jackets, and have a whistle. Like that's one thing that people don't think about. I have a whistle attached to my PFD all the time. If you end up in the water, you know, I've heard stories about people capsizing and like they didn't have a whistle, they didn't have a horn, and they're just like hoping somebody comes by and it saves them. And they didn't have a whistle to like try and get anybody's attention. So use your safety things, take care of yourself, get home. Um, enough about safety, but
With
I
you
get
though.
pretty big on that.
I,
But
it's a good
outside of
thing to
that,
be passionate about, though. I think
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
that's a
yeah,
big one. You know,
uh,
we do dumb stuff from time to time, but you know,
yeah,
if we could prevent our, you know, if we could prevent bodily harm through our,
yeah,
you know, even though we're going to do dumb stuff, you might as
Well,
well.
yeah,
that's how I think. Really, that's how you learn. Is doing dumb stuff safely.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
there's a big side of that. And you learn a lot doing dumb stuff safely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say next down the list when you're talking about kayak fishing is you got to have something that's good for storage. Honestly, you know, I don't care if you're bringing a lot of tackle, a little tackle. You got to have a good and I'll say crate. Like I love crates. Like that's what I use. I don't use like those old school tackle boxes. Like if that's what you use, great. I don't use that because you know I'm pretty serious in the fishing world. I do a lot of tournaments. So I've got black packs. I've got the huge 16 by 16 with the double stack black pack with 6 rod holders on it. It's got extra batteries in it. I've got every lure that I can imagine carrying on the water with me when I go out on my autopilot. But then I've also got a new product that it's just pretty new on the market. It's called a Source Crate, and it's made with like aluminum. It's way lighter. It's actually got Magpul attachments on it. He's patented. He's got like the patent with Magpul, to where he can use it. Anybody can use it for fishing or like a range box. Like you can throw all your tackle in it. They've got the Magpul attachments where you can like drop your shotgun on it and carry it all out there at one time. Super cool crate. Like I said, it's called Source Crate. It's super cool. I actually just posted it on my Instagram on the U10, probably 30 minutes before we jumped on here.
Oh, good deal.
It's super neat. I like how lightweight it is. I really like it when I'm doing my throw and go stuff. It's like I said, it's just way lighter, so I'm not carrying as much tackle. I try and keep it more basic, but it still has rod holders on it, so I can still throw, you know, 6 rods in there. Or I'm actually going to swap it out, and I'm only going to take 4 rod holders with me on my trip this weekend because I want them angled backwards, so I don't have to worry about the trees on the river. And it's super cool. So being able to store your tackle and your tools efficiently is the next best thing because you don't have that much space in a kayak. So you don't want a bunch of loose stuff just like at your feet, you know, especially a hook. You don't want
Nope.
a treble hook going into your foot because you're barefoot going down the river.
Yeah.
Um, so like having tackle organization is absolutely there. Um, and then the next thing, it kind of goes hand in hand with buying a middle of the road kayak to start off, is buy a middle of the road rod and reel. Um, don't get me wrong, I've had my share of Walmart specials. They did the job, but for the same price, maybe $50 more, you can go to your local tackle store and you can buy a rod and a reel that's got a lifetime warranty on it. And if it breaks, you just take it in and maybe you pay like $50 to replace it, but you're not spending another 150 bucks to replace it. You know, whether that's Dobbins rods, Stick 5 rods has really good warranties on them. That's one of my favorite rods that I use. But between Dobbins and Stick 5s, the warranties that you get with them are just phenomenal. And if you break it, like really, it doesn't matter how you break it with either of them. You can literally snap it over your knee and then take it back to the store, pay them the warranty fee, which is typically around like $50, and walk out of the store with a brand new rod.
That's crazy.
These are, $200, $300 rods.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Things happen. You close your door on it. You close your tailgate on it. Your wife did something to it. She got mad and snapped all your rods. Like, things happen. So like, just like set yourself up for success by not going the cheapest way possible right out the gate.
Yeah.
But don't blow all your money right out the gate either. So find that middle of the road, do your research, talk to people that are in the industry before you go spend what's a Walmart special run these days? $100, probably best case.
Yeah. Best case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will, on those same lines, I broke my wife's St. Croix Mojo kayak rod last weekend. Caught it. I was walking out and it just hung in between the door and the door hinge or the door and the door frame. And I realized it.
Yeah. And the bad thing is, you said the name, so I don't want to.
I know. It's okay. Okay.
But their warranty is trash right now.
It is. It used to not be that way.
It didn't used to be. It just happened. Maybe I'll say within the last year, it just changed.
Yep.
And their warranty process is a nightmare.
It is.
I've heard some things that's not looking great for St. Croix, which is unfortunate because they've been such a big name for so long.
Yep.
But that is the cyclicality of the world. Things come and go.
Yeah, and that's I brought that up specifically because where I was going with that is I called them for warranty, and first I couldn't get a hold of anybody, and so I tried to send them an email. I've yet to get an email response back. That was probably 7 days ago. So no email response back. Can't get anybody on the phone that they keep it's that. Look, if you hang up on me, great, just hang up on me, but transferring me around, you need to talk to this group, you need to talk to this person. No, I've already talked to them. Nope, you need to talk. Oh no. And
yeah.
And
it gets frustrating. It does.
And so again, I've started to kind of transition away from that rod manufacturer anyway. I found some other ones that I like a little bit better. And they're, the Dobbins is one that I really want to fish with. I've heard remarkable things about it, but
yeah, you need to try them. I mean, they've got great price points. The thing I love about Dobbins is they've got multiple price points. They've got three or four lines that they run for their rods. The Fury series is like their most basic line that it's got all the lineups that you need at. I think they retail like $130. I think is what they retail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
No.
I've heard remarkable things from them. I mean, the sensitivity
on
them is supposed to be amazing.
Even
on their low end stuff. And I hate to say low end, but it's not, because it's not low end stuff. Nothing they make is low end by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's just a, price point aspect, so
one of my favorite rods for the years, and I've had it for probably 5 years now, is the Dobbins. It's the Fury 705 CB. So it's the crankbait rod, and it's the 7-foot edition. And it is my favorite all-time cranking rod. And it only cost me $130. And if you break it off, you literally walk back into a retailer with your broken rod, and they'll exchange it right there, and you'll walk out the door with a brand new one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that.
You don't have to deal with Dobbins. And now it's owned by GSM, so it's still Dobbins, but GSM owns Dobbins now. But you don't have to worry about trying to deal with that headache of, now I got to contact customer service. Now I got to cut off a piece and mail it into them. Like, you literally just walk into the store and hand it to them and pay them the $50 exchange, and you walk out with a brand new rod.
Yeah, I'm looking at their stuff right now. They're high. Their number one rod is the XTC.
Oh yeah, I think it retails like 500, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 550.
Yeah,
But
I'm not that bougie.
Yeah.
but I mean, short of that, I mean, their rods go. I think they've got a $99 rod here, which and then the Fury series is like
Sierra, right?
$129. Yeah, no, it's the Maverick series is the $99 one.
Yeah, I forgot about the Mavericks. Yeah.
And then the Sierras are like 169 to 189 depending. So, but that's an all graphite. I mean, graphite rod. So I'm all in. So I really think that the Dobyns rods are phenomenal. I've never heard anybody, not one person, have I ever heard saying that Dobyns rods are trash.
No, they're great.
And
they've got the different blanks, just like you're saying. It's like, you can get the graphite, you can get glass, you can get the like I've got their glass cranking rod. It's like I think it's a 7.3 or a 7.4 cranking rod. That is awesome. I use it a lot for like deep cranking, and some people say that's a little too short for deep cranking, but I like it. It's a great rod for it. I'll throw the 10XDs on it all day long. Love it. But then, honestly, my favorite Dobyns rod is the Champion XP 685 CV, which is a great jerkbait rod.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
And here in the Ozarks, you do a lot of jerkbaits. Wintertime jerkbaiting is like the key. I'll be throwing a jerkbait on the rivers this weekend, ripping it through currents. I fished Guntersville, 4 months ago for the Bassmaster event. And on Guntersville, I went up a river and I was jerkbaiting and catching 19-inch largemouth. I mean, you don't think you're going to go to Guntersville and jerkbait in the river. I mean, but that's what ended up happening for me. But jerkbaiting is just like, it's such a staple for me because I do it so much around home.
Well, and there's a special. I give a lot of credit to people who do run jerk baits. I don't have the patience for it.
You don't even need patience.
I don't know. I do because
I rip them.
Okay, all right. I've heard people. No, you got to yank, and then you leave them still and yank. I'm like, man,
wintertime can be tough because you do let it sit a while, but like summertime, and I just rip it as hard as I can rip it. And you're just looking for reactions,
Yeah.
You want fish to come up and strike it because they're like, oh, it's being really aggressive because it's trying to get away from something, or it's acting erratic because like it's dying. If you see bait fish dying, it's fluttering around. It's not just sitting there. So you're ripping it around and they're like, oh, like this is dying or something else is trying to eat it. So I'm going to eat it first.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And stripers.
I mean, they just wreck them.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of stripers up here, and the stripers love them. I mean, you want to you want to catch a striper, go throw a jerkbait in the water and get in some deeper water. It's got a little structure around it, and you will destroy some some stripers. But jerkbaits are a tough one for me. I don't know. I grew up in South Alabama, Louisiana. We didn't use jerkbaits. I didn't use jerkbaits. It doesn't mean that they didn't, but I just grew up with different, worms and crankbaits. That was kind of my, occasionally you get like one of those brokeback minnows or something like that. And that was the greatest thing ever. So
now it's all about the chatterbait in that grass.
It is.
I say I'm a big chatterbait buzzbait guy.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah. Have
right
you
there.
thrown, here's kind of like my favorite buzzbait since you brought up buzzbaits, is the Croco Gator head knocker. And if you're a Missouri guy, it's actually a Missouri-based company. I
have not even heard of that one.
Yeah. It's actually super popular. Even on the elites, you see the elite guys throwing the Croco Gator head knocker. Ben Milken, he throws it. I want to say Palaniuk has thrown it. The Croco Gator head knocker, one of, if not the best buzz bait on the market.
Huh.
No questions asked.
No kidding. I forget what brand that one is that I've been throwing this year a lot. But I caught my PB earlier this year, this spring, down in Oklahoma. Caught a 9.5 largemouth on a big old buzz bait. And, man, yeah, I mean, that just secured it. It was already like new pond, whatever, that time of year. I'm throwing a buzz bait. I don't care what time of day it is. I'm throwing a buzz bait in that water to see what's in there. And I think it was like my third cast into the pond. And pulled out a 9.5. Didn't catch another fish out of the pond the rest of the time we fished it. And I was like, I think it's a sign. I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and put my stuff up.
We were up at the Susquehanna River. I guess it's probably been 3 weeks ago now, the Bassmaster Kayak event. And it was actually, I think the guy that won it, and a bunch of the guys that cashed checks were all throwing buzz baits on the Susquehanna River, where everybody else is throwing floppers and wake baits.
Yep.
The buzz bait, which a lot of people don't think about with smallmouth because of their mouths are much smaller. You don't think about a buzz bait being that big of a player, but it is. Those smallmouth still love the buzz bait. You got to throw the right trailer on it. You can't just go out there just willy nilly. But if you put the right trailer on it, I really like the horny toads with it.
Yep.
And if I'm not throwing a horny toad, I'm throwing like a 375 Kitech on it. They just don't miss the hook that often. They really hook up well, and they love it. So I like the gold blades when I'm going for smallmouth. Something about gold with a smallmouth just seems to trigger.
They kill it every time. The willows. I know guys that'll only throw Colorados or only throw willows, or I don't get that particular, but gold, absolutely, 100%.
It makes a difference. I don't know what it is. Like here in the Ozarks, we have a lot of I don't know if you call them the golden chubs or whatever, but but I think that's what it is, because I throw the same colored jerk baits for them, and something about that gold color, just smallmouth love it.
Yeah, they it couldn't be more true there for sure. The only time you find anything different, and I'll tell you, as far as you get on the Shenandoah. Shenandoah, if you got a feather attached to it in any way, shape, or form, you're gonna catch some smallies. And it doesn't have to be a big feather. It could be a trailing feather. It could be anything. All you got to do is throw that. If it's got a feather on that end and you twitch it a couple of times, it's over. At least in my,
you use those mag slows with I think they're called mag slows with the feathers on them.
Absolutely. And they destroy them. That is like my go-to for sure. So, and then I don't know and if they're not hitting anything, obviously it's fair game at that point. Just start pulling stuff out. And see what
start going through the tackle box.
So people overlook the best smallmouth bait when it gets tough because it's so old school anymore. People don't talk about it as much, and that's the tube jig.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just overlooked. It's old school, like the Carolina rig. People overlook the Carolina rig a lot.
Yep.
The tube jig is just a killer.
Yeah.
Middle of summer on smallmouth, they love it.
Yep. And especially, I don't know. I might be just me. I like the salted tube jigs. Yep. I don't know what it is, but if you're really having a rough day of it,
if it ain't salted, I ain't throwing it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's my move right there. If I'm really struggling, like, I went to, I call it my super secret special spot. And we went there and, had a good time, and nothing was biting. I mean, I was catching some here and there, and nothing was biting. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm trying too hard. I put a worm on there, with a fancy finesse worm with a fancy tail. I think it was like an 8-inch from Bass Pro. And, I said, let her eat, boys. And, I caught a 6-pounder out of there. So I ain't gonna complain. So
I went to my secret spot this weekend, and, I haven't been there, and it's probably been almost a year and a half since I've been there. just because we were out on the road so much. And I finally was like, all right, I'm going back. And it's a spot you can only go on the weekends. You can't go during the week. So you can only go on weekends. And I get out there, and it's like the perfect topwater morning. I go out and I just wreck them on a Chapo for the first 2 hours, just smashing them. And then it slowed down, and I started throwing a Texas rig. It's a Strike King Rage Scoundrel, I think is what they called it. It's like a craw.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just as fast as you get in the water, you're getting bit.
Yeah.
They just loved it because they just moved off the top and they were just wanting to pick stuff off the bottom and just drug it around and just smash them. Smallmouth, largemouth, whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a good move right there. All right. So I think where are we at on our time, Benny?
We're just a little bit over.
All right. So obviously this one went by a little faster than I thought it was. Normally I'm pretty good on my time, but I guess my time in my head just kind of said, hey, we're having too good of a conversation. So,
Man, it goes fast.
It does. So first, thank you very much for coming. We're always grateful to have guests on. We appreciate you coming in. We have a lot of folks that ask a lot of questions about kayaks. And, when I started kind of looking for somebody to come talk kayaks, it was, not only was it on Instagram, but other people said, hey, you need to check this individual out. I follow him on Instagram. I've seen him here, and other fishermen on Instagram reference you. So you got some pretty high accolades. So I'm glad
and I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. So glad you came on. We appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime. I don't think we've ever told anybody that they're not welcome back, but you're welcome back.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened.
Glad I'm not the first.
Right? No. So how do people find you? Let's kind of get that out and obviously where where they can find you, what they can buy from you, what you should be looking forward to.
So anybody that wants to find me, really the best way to find me is Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I do all the major platforms, but those are my two primaries. Every username that you'll find me under is the real, as in like fishing reel, yak dragger. So the real yak dragger. Put a period in between each word. That's me. If you want to support me, like that's awesome. Go to Eco Fishing Shop, buy a flip cat. That would make me extremely happy.
Gotcha.
If you're around the Shields, check out, see if they've got the flip cats. The more of those that sell, the happier I am. So that's awesome for me. That's one of my biggest projects this year is pushing them, growing them. I work with Stick 5 fishing rods. A lot of people don't know about them. They're a pretty small company, but high quality, great rods. Buy them online at Stick 5 Rods. Stick is in STIK 5 rods. So Stick 5. But yeah, other than that, follow my channels. I love it. I just like doing content. A lot of people are in this for the money. I'm not. I'm actually just in it to share the wealth of knowledge. I love to fish. I love to try new things, and I want people to learn about the sport and how they can most be effective on the water to have a good time. So shoot me a message. I love to talk to anybody. And I mean that literally. Obviously it's impossible for me to follow every single person that sends me a like or they follow me, but anybody I talk to, I generally follow just because it's like, now I actually know that you're a real person and not just
There you go.
So I follow pretty much anybody that I actually interact with. So if you like me, you want me to follow you, just shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. Let's talk. Let's talk fishing, and let's talk kayaks. And that's really my whole life right there.
And you've got a fishing tournament next weekend?
This weekend. And next weekend.
And next week. All right. All right.
Yeah.
And where are you going to be?
So this weekend I'm fishing. I guess I could say it's on the Big River. So it's kind of a road runner tournament for the Mo Yak Fishing Series.
All right.
And it's a river tournament. Everybody's fishing on different rivers on the eastern side of the state. I'm fishing Big River. That's kind of my favorite area to fish when we're talking rivers. Next weekend is another Moyak event, but it's the Lake Series, and we're fishing on Palmetier Lake. That's going to be a fun one. My mom's coming up to watch my kids so that I can go fish that one.
Nice.
My wife's got to work, so my mom's coming to take care of the kids so I can keep fishing. I've got an awesome support system. Obviously, you guys have seen that. I'm pretty blessed when it comes to the family that supports me, supports this addiction, supports this lifestyle. And that's not just my wife. That's not just my family. That's also my in-laws. That's my family too. They come out all the time for my out-of-state trips and take care of my kids for me while I'm traveling. And, I couldn't be more thankful. I couldn't be more blessed to have the support system that I have that allows me to do this.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That is really cool. All right. Like I said, great having you here. I feel like I'm walking away from, a podcast with some knowledge. I think that's a success. More importantly, I got to meet somebody who's, just as addicted to fishing as I am. So I don't get to, probably more, but I don't get to say that too much. All right, Benny, what you got?
That's about all I got. I'm going to go start looking at kayaks online probably. So
I do need a new PFD, and I will. And I've got the Blue Storm website up right here. So
I got a lot of stuff to go look at tonight.
Absolutely. So. The Croc Gator head knocker.
I hope you see a flip cat sale tomorrow morning.
I said you're going to see my goofy ass out there in a freaking Blue Storm inflatable vest on a freaking flip cat shooting ducks in Quantico and going for a swim.
I would be absolutely ecstatic. Ear to ear smile.
Oh, it's awesome. Well, Ryan, thanks again for coming, man. We really appreciate it. Like Mikey said, you're welcome whenever. If you ever want to have something that you want to talk about, just reach out and we'll have you back on whenever.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I love talking fishing. Yeah, if you guys ever need a fill-in, just holler at me.
Right on.
You
Mikey?
might regret saying that.
You got anything else, Mike? All right. Well,
good.
Thanks again, Ryan, and we'll see y'all next week. See you.
You've been listening to The Hunting Quest. No matter how crazy, high-tech, or lazy the rest of the country gets, we will always be hunting and fishing. If that's you, you've found your new family. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. Reach out to us by email at info@thehuntingquest.com and check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hunting Quest. See you next time.